Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Stickle. I am also joined by my colleagues Jim Patterson and Doug Wellsby. Jim and Doug will be today's presenters and will discuss what to do when you encounter today's topic of when your teams are agile but leadership thinks waterfall, enabling hybrid project portfolio. This webinar is the first of a new series of webinars, so if you enjoyed today's video, feel free to watch the others, which we'll be releasing soon. And as always, I hope that today's presentation grants you some insight into the world of project and portfolio management, and I hope it gets you a little excited for the new developments happening within the industry and here at OnePlan. Thank you again, and I'll now turn the presentation over to Jim.
Thanks, Robert, and welcome everybody. We're excited to bring you this topic here today as people are moving more towards Agile in the marketplace. Not everyone at all levels of the organization are always on the same page, but that doesn't mean that we can't be effective in the interim by enabling these hybrid project portfolios and doing the things we need to do as teams, but yet give leadership what they're looking for or what they need to run the business. So with that, let's get started. First, a little bit about us and why we're doing this topic. We're consistently recognized as OnePlan Solutions as a leader in project and portfolio management. As a multi-gold certified Microsoft partner, we've been recognized multiple times as Partner of the Year in Project and Portfolio Management, and also certified with Scaled Agile Inc. as a Scaled Agile partner to be able to help people on the disciplines, whether it be Waterfall, whether it be Agile, whether it be Scaled Agile, or some hybrids of those. And so we're proud of these accomplishments, and we help a lot of organizations navigate what we're going to be talking about today. And we help people on all fronts, not just on the solutions, but really on the people and the process and the technology aspects, which all have to be addressed to make these things successful. So with that, let's talk about what's driving some of the changes and the need for this topic today. We all hear about that, and we've used in other webinars this concept of the age of digital transformation and the new challenges it creates across the enterprise. Organizations that might have traditionally been considered brick and mortar businesses have transitioned into more digital needs, or even morphed into more digital companies, or maybe not even have survived. The old traditional department stores have become the Amazons of the world. The Blockbusters became Netflix and other streaming. Traditional taxis and transportations have become rideshare apps. And the whole idea of more technologically driven automobiles. These things all require more and more digital efforts and digital aspects of an organization, and heavily rely on software development. And this is just a few examples. There's not an industry that really isn't touched by this. And it really breeds changes across the organization, whether it be at the executive level, who have to figure out new business models and strategies to approach this, the PMOs, who have to increasingly manage or embrace and report on a variety of different types of projects, more and more technological bent to them. The software development teams that have to grow and get bigger and actually deliver on the fulfillment and the promise and the strategies, and then let alone the support that has to happen to make sure that our customers are happy and we're delivering the value that we're supposed to. So these are radical changes that are happening in the marketplace, and these have been going on for a while. And organizations that haven't been getting on this train are getting left behind. On top of that, the speed of business continues to accelerate. The speed of change continues to accelerate. Market windows are shrinking. Just putting a new product out there, where in the old days you might have had a window of maybe 5 years to run with a different product or version of a product, that shrinks to 18 months or less in a lot of cases, and you have to always be looking at what the next horse to ride is as an organization. So to do that, organizations have been really adopting increasingly agile approaches to the way they actually deliver. Now, even back in 2018, the State of Agile report that happens every year was version 1 at that time. It's now by digital.ai. But at that point, 97% of organizations were practicing Agile somewhere in their organizations. It doesn't mean that everybody was doing Agile, but 97% of those surveyed said that they were actually using Agile somewhere in that organization. You can see that increased over the years. Now, given that we've had that type of saturation or adoption within different companies, then it became the degree of which they're doing it. And in the most recent State of Agile survey, that adoption is continuing to increase. And this year's finding in the latest survey said significant growth in Agile adoption within software development teams was increased from 37% in 2020 to a whopping 86% in 2021, which is a huge leap. And maybe the pandemic and the remote work had something to do with accelerating that, but I think the trend was going that way in any event. The other piece is that broader adoption is not just the traditional software development. It's really gone mainstream across other parts of the organization. Non-IT groups, things like finance, human resources, marketing, the whole aspect of new product development. It's getting more play and more utilization outside of the original software development teams that it was originally took hold with. And the most important reasons why people adopt it is the ability to manage changing priorities was the top survey, to accelerate software delivery, to increase team productivity, to improve business and IT alignment, which is part of what we have here today in this topic, improve software quality, enhance delivery predictability, etc. So these are the things that people are trying to achieve with these new methods. Now, because there's a broader adoption, and it's not just a team-based, localized thing within certain teams, the increased adoption is breeding the needs for organizations to scale their use of Agile. And there are a variety of frameworks out there that people can look at. Now, by far, the most popular one, or the ones that people at least pull parts from, is the SAFe or Scaled Agile framework. But the key is organizations have to scale this as they have more and more initiatives and projects and efforts that are using Agile. And not every initiative in an organization may be done using Agile. And these things need to be scaled and brought together so that the organization get the visibility and the ability to have decision support on these things that they need over time across all those types of initiatives. The problem is that embracing SAFe requires major organizational change, whether that be top down in mindset from leadership on down to the teams, whether it be horizontally across different groups and different teams across the organization. It takes time. Going Agile in particular is a discipline that takes time, and then scaling Agile to a particular framework takes even more time. These are multi-year efforts. People have embedded coaches to help them do this, so it's not like flipping a switch and turning that on a dime. It's a major change management piece. To take more lean enterprise approaches for Agile is a long-term initiative as well. So these kind of Agile type of approaches are major transformations, not just the digital transformation, but they're a mindset and cultural transformation that has to happen, and those things don't happen quickly. So what prevents people from kind of going along with the trend here and getting the benefits of going Agile? Well, some of the challenges are things like, and the top ones are inconsistencies in processes and practices, cultural clashes or cultural barriers, general organizational resistance to change, or just human nature resistance to change are barriers that come up because it is a major shift in the way people think or do things. Or maybe the lack of skills and experience, the lack of skills in Agile. But the last two really focus on the things about, today's topic is absence of leadership participation was cited as a significant aspect, as well as inadequate management support and sponsorship. It could be that the teams are all bought in on Agile and they're seeing the benefits at their team level, but perhaps the things that management is expecting or the way they want to run the business isn't yet fully in alignment with the way things are happening down at the team level. Now, those alignments are actually getting more aligned over time across the board, according to the survey, but it is something to still be overcome. So in reality out there, not everybody is fully Agile. And a publication from the Project Management Institute said that a blend of approaches can enable organizational agility without a full Agile transformation yet. And that some organizations or smart organizations realize that using Agile techniques is not the only or even the best indicator of an overall organization's speed and flexibility. So most organizations are more likely to use several different project management approaches, whether it be different types of Agile approaches and Waterfall or extreme programming or whatever it might be. The idea is using the approach that's most conducive to the work at hand, or that gets the most out of the teams that are actually delivering on that particular project or initiative. So some of the waterfall and hybrid and waterfall and Agile use cases to talk about and what people are facing out there include some of the following. Silos. Disconnected systems and processes. We have work that's coming from everywhere. whether it be in the middle, we have traditional project management, more waterfallish thing using things like Microsoft Project or Planner or other types of things. Um, uh, uh, you know, more agile project management that's going on, and people using things like Azure DevOps and Azure boards within them, and JIRA software, and just to name a few, and those approaches. And not to mention the more unstructured work, the service management stuff that comes in with tools like ServiceNow and others that are out there, is that there's different types of work, all has to be managed, but they tend to be managed in parallel, disconnected processes with multiple entry points and solutions of data and silos. That means when anybody wants to get the complete picture, it generally requires a manual mashup of data. And then once that data is mashed up into a common data set, it has to be transformed somehow into useful information, whether it be portfolio level information, resource level information, financial reporting status, whatever it might be. And the idea is that's a very labor intensive and very, I would say, non-efficient use of people's time to do that types of things when there's other approaches that can be employed to solve that issue. So multiple planning and delivery modes in this hybrid, or what's often called adaptive. You're going to hear those terms used interchangeably in the marketplace, hybrid PPM, adaptive PPM. But traditional PPM is a more linear approach to change, emphasizing predictability, accuracy, reliability, and stability. I use the analogy of a marathon runner, projects with longer cycle times, using more waterfall methodologies in the way we approach with a phased methodology. And some, projects, whether they be construction or facilities or infrastructure things that you need, might be conducive to always doing that rather than in a more agile approach. And the more agile approaches is a more non-linear approach. It's more iterative, and it emphasizes agility and speed above all, and managing uncertainty. And it's really about adjusting along the way. And as opposed to a marathon runner, this is the analogy of more of a sprinter, shorter cycle times and iterations that you're doing, and delivering things more frequently rather than a big bang delivery at the end of a large project. So the key here is the practice of managing two separate yet coherent modes of delivery, where one is focused on stability and the other one's more focused on agility. Now, the more traditional PPM folks, and this could be historically where PMOs were at one point, and the agile teams, there were some disconnects. And this is by no means an exhaustive list, but it's just meant to illustrate the point that, to the PMO or traditional PPM folks, sometimes the agile teams were maybe a little bit of a black hole. They might have still been managing projects with stickies on a whiteboard, as opposed to using an electronic system, or maybe what they were doing didn't have the same visibility as the other PPM solutions that they had. And they felt they didn't have enough visibility into the deliverables when the teams were using these agile approaches. And it made it difficult, without a lot of manual effort or manual gymnastics, to manage or deliver a holistic portfolio to leadership, let alone being able to meet the needs of delineating CapEx and OpEx for the financial aspects of those projects. And to the agile teams, PPM, their perception was, it was overhead. How can they keep delivering and get the full benefits of agile if, the PPM and the PMO is slowing us down? Why do I have to track CapEx and OpEx? And then to meet the needs of the organization, they were doing their agile stuff within their team, but then even had to do duplicate entry to provide status to the organization, or timesheet entry, things that they were trying to move away from in order to become more agile and more efficient and deliver things more effectively. So these disconnections exist, and these are just some examples of where they are. So the key here in these organizations is, how do you find the right balance? The right amount of governance. How do we get the right amount of visibility, insight, alignment, and control, and the needs of information and decision support to leadership? But yet, how do we get enough agility so that we can be relevant and be responsive, and we can innovate and get quicker time to market and be more responsive? The key is, how do we find that right balance? And ultimately, you'd like to have a unified view so that it doesn't matter the type of methodology or framework that's being used to deliver a project. Traditional PPM project, waterfall projects and agile projects should be able to live in a new hybrid project management world and have visibility up through that organization. That's the vision we're going to talk about fulfilling today. On top of that, PMOs and PPM capabilities have evolved. If you look at the blocks on the right, the lighter faces show the more traditional things that we've had for many, many decades, the things that we want to see in a project and portfolio management solution. But on top of that, things have become more complex. We have to deliver them more frequently. We have a lot of different complexity, and even the technology has become much more robust and more complex on the back end. But we have to make it more usable and easy to access for the users that are out there. So adding things like agility, work management, not just structured projects, but maybe work management needs to be figured in for all different types of work so that we can effectively manage resource workloads. We have to integrate with multiple systems in order to make this stuff work seamlessly. The simplicity is key. People expect in this app culture on mobile phones and such, they expect things to load up and be able to start working and get productive right away. And the automation around that has to be done in order to be able to automate process and make things happen more effectively. So these are all things that organizations are grappling with today and trying to achieve. So hence, we're finding that organizations are doing what we call a shift to the left. Instead of the right-hand hump here that you see here, that is more that traditional delivery model and a more waterfallish type of approach where, we plan, develop, design, test, deploy, and release at the very end of a longer cycle. The shift left is more iterative and delivering more frequently and more often and adjusting along the way instead of delivering things at the end of a long cycle where the requirements or the market landscape may have changed before you even get to the end line. And we're seeing organizations definitely moving to the more agile approaches, and the State of Agile surveys backs that up. Now, in this, you could be in a number of different places, but this on the right side, as we talk about this concept of moving left, the traditional project and portfolio management is still out there, and we have organizations that are still doing that with that more waterfallish and traditional governance approaches. Now, organizations may be embarking on a desired full agile transformation and trying to move all the way to the left in order to make that happen. But because it takes many years, some organizations or those organizations are going to have to go through this transformational journey of which, at least for a temporary period, they're going to be in what this is adaptive or hybrid mode, where they're going to have a combination of traditional project portfolio management and some agile portfolio management. Now, this just may be a stop for some on the way to full agile portfolio management on the left-hand side, but we're finding for most organizations, they are perpetually going to be in an adaptive state where they're going to realize that certain projects in their nature of their business or their departments or their business units are going to always have to be done in a more waterfallish fashion, and certain things are going to be more conducive to agile. And that adaptive portfolio management and achieving that and mastering that, I think, is the key to success for organizations across the board. So whether it's traditional, adaptive, or full agile, what we're going to show you here today is that OnePlan actually has capabilities that support and add value to your organization regardless of where you're at on this journey. And OnePlan Solutions is really about a solution to bring these things all together. This particular Microsoft-oriented view or picture shows that we have a portfolio at the top of the pyramid, and below it, feeding into that, are a couple of waterfall tools like Project for the Web and Microsoft Project Professional, as well as Azure DevOps for more agile projects. And the capabilities it provides is, really flexible portfolio planning, whether it be more traditional list views of a portfolio or maybe more agile Kanban board portfolio boards for working with those in those fashions and things doing like program increment planning, and even roadmap views for those more product-oriented type of people that have that automatically generated. But being able to then consistently, whether it be an agile project or a waterfall project or some mix of those things, to be able to consistently deliver resource planning and capacity planning across all that, financial information and financial tracking against all that, as well as then rolling in whatever execution tools that you're using it on either a waterfallish or an agile approach, feeding those in and getting consistent views and status across that data is really the vision that we're trying to fulfill here for organizations, and taking that highly manual mashup process out of the mix and focus that time and effort on more high value activities. And then even add in strategy. This organizations need to march to a particular strategy that leadership puts forth. And whether it be executing on those strategies or whether it be aligning the initiatives that you have with those strategies, either one of those things is an important and a piece that one may want to eventually put in place to have a fully function and a robust top to bottom type of project and portfolio management solution. And this really happens, through that integration piece that we talked about of what PMOs need. And instead of being in the business of doing one-off integrations custom to make these things happen, having productized connectors that allow you to connect the work management tools, your financial information, or even things like service management information for that more unstructured work management pieces is key to getting those things in without having to manually pull that all together and the time and the lag it takes to get that information together. So today, what Doug is going to be demonstrating to you is these hybrid solutions where in this case, in this example, maybe a Microsoft project waterfall set of projects and maybe some Azure DevOps Agile projects all coming together into a singular OnePlan portfolio where the program and portfolio management, the investment approval and intake, financial and capacity planning, those things are handled at a portfolio level irrespective of the methodology or the tool that's being used down below in the execution. Or maybe doing it with JIRA. JIRA is a very popular shop. We're not limited to just Microsoft type of tools here. That feeds in with a very similar use case. Or maybe it's completely Agile. Maybe you have nothing but Agile tools going on, Agile teams in your organization, but you want those disparate tools to come up and provide good central portfolio level information, because many of these team-based Agile tools are lacking in robust portfolio management capabilities and need to provide views and metrics for traditional business and leadership. So that's the key there, is how do you consolidate and translate, up through the different methodologies and tools, up through those initiatives, up through the programs and portfolios, and maybe even up to the strategic level. And how do we translate those for common metrics for leadership? And there usually is a traditional dividing line where, below that, the teams are looking at, what they're doing with their teams and the tools they're using and talking the language that they're talking based upon the methodology or framework that they're using. But then leadership is running a business. They have more traditional, maybe business needs or views that they want. They want metrics and things in terms and terminology that they understand. And it even compounds if there's predominant Agile down at the team level, like you see down here, where there's no waterfall at all, maybe. And then how do you translate that into something that leadership wants to see? Because the metrics and the terminology and the language are different. Leadership thinks in terms often of things like net present value, internal rate of return, ROI, earned value, utilization, milestones, cost variance, those types of things. And teams might be, staying on track and becoming Agile by, utilizing burn-ups and burn-downs and velocity charts and cumulative flow diagrams and weighted shortest job first, WSJF, and bug trends. So how do we bridge that gap or cross that chasm so that the teams get to do what they need to do and leadership gets what they need to run the business? So today we're going to be showing you how OnePlan is there to bring this stuff all together for you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Doug Welsby, who'll give you a demonstration of these things in action. All yours, Doug.
So good afternoon and morning, everyone. And thanks for that, Jim. As Jim has discussed, more and more, our customers are adapting agile approaches to project management. And this doesn't matter whether it means software or product development or the delivery of traditional projects that are embracing more modern agile methodologies. And of course, these agile methodologies don't always address everyone's needs, be that for delivery and execution if you're thinking waterfall, or maybe if you're addressing resourcing or financial planning needs. And with OnePlan, we not only embrace both ends of that spectrum of methodologies for delivery, be it waterfall or be it agile, but we also fully support the other attributes about the proper delivery of programs and portfolios and your strategic investments. And that's around where your resources are, where your budget's being budgeted and or expended, with both budget tracking and resource tracking modules available directly out of the box with our OnePlan solution. So today I'll walk you through how OnePlan enables hybrid project management, mixing both Agile and Waterfall into a single portfolio view. So what we're seeing right now is our OnePlan solution with an adaptive configuration where we've mixed into this configuration a set of both waterfall or traditional projects identified in this plan type column that you're seeing here by the project type, this plan type that we've exposed, and agile projects that we've labeled in this configuration as epics. Now we can relabel these, rename them, add a third or fourth type if you wish. And we've done that in this configuration again with both portfolios and programs being identified so that you can very easily track a portfolio of work, program association of those agile and those traditional project type work plan deliveries that you're doing within the solution. Now it's important to hear that word. It's configuration, not customization. We're showing a mix of plan types here with both waterfall and agile plans mixed into the same solution. Some attributes about them, such as the overall health or the financial health, a Gantt chart view with some milestones and or key deliverables identified on that Gantt chart, and other attributes about the delivery of these work objects, these projects, these epics, etc., including benefits, budget, etc. So it's configuration within the solution, not customization, to get this looking and behaving and working the way you work and the way your organization works. Again, you can mix and match within a single interface, within a single program. You can mix methodologies and visualize it directly in these portfolio views. Now, we've delivered many webinars, almost weekly, where we're showing, I beg your pardon, I'll close that screen, I'll go back to it, where we're showing a variety of other views of the different plans and portfolios and programs and the capabilities within OnePlan for visualization. So within that portfolio view, we're looking at a list view right here, but I could easily switch to a board view, a roadmap view, or a dashboard view using Power BI for visualization of the information within the OnePlan portfolio views. So look at some of our other YouTube webinars for some examples of how we can do advanced reporting within the solution. Here within this portfolio view, if I focus in on this world-class customer support program, you'll see here we have a mix of work that's being delivered within that program. I can take the world-class customer support program, do a quick edit to visualize some of the information about that, including high-level program information, a description, etc. And if I open that program up and go in to look at, for example, the list view of that particular program, you'll see here that we've rolled up both waterfall and agile projects into a single program view and mixed and matched them within this same interface. So I can drill into any one of these different projects, again, whether it's waterfall or agile, see what's happening within that particular delivery of that plan type, and again, consolidate all of that into a view of a program, because after all, your management, your organization does need to embrace all different types of work in an adaptive fashion and consolidate that in these sorts of views of those programs. Here we're seeing another example, improve infrastructure, again, mixing in traditional projects with some epics of work that are being delivered in an agile fashion. So this particular column with these icons is important to note. Here's where we're identifying the different integration points for these work objects that are being delivered. Some of these, such as support customer using mobile, are being managed in a truly adaptive fashion. Some components being managed with Azure DevOps, other components being delivered with Microsoft Project Desktop. We see some others in here that are being delivered with JIRA. Still more further below down on this list that are being managed using our own scheduling tool, our OnePlan work management tool, and I'll show you a little more about that as we navigate through the additional demo points. Now, within this environment, we've mixed in different scheduling types. So let's take a look at one of those schedules that's being managed in Microsoft Project Desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to Project Desktop, and I'm going to show you a full project plan being managed right now within the Microsoft Project Desktop environment. Here we have Project Professional. We see this plan called Support Customer Using Mobile. We have different phases, tasks, resources assigned to it. There's nothing fancy. It's Project Professional, the same tool many of us grown used to using over the years. but we've added a tab to the application, and we see within Project Pro that the OnePlan application is accessible directly from Project Professional. So work in that same tool that you're used to working in waterfall fashion, working away on delivery of this project while sharing this out via OnePlan by publishing this and being able to open this plan directly into the OnePlan environment directly from Project Pro. If I switch back to my OnePlan environment, drill down into this portfolio, and I see support customer using mobile right there, it's very simple for me to click on this icon and have immediate access to that plan because it's being stored through our OnePlan application. But if I open this project up, go into the work plan and open up that schedule, you'll see that this looks very similar to that project plan we were just looking at. In fact, it's pretty much identical because we've chosen to publish specific attributes about this project so that we can visualize it here. We can see the status of all of these tasks, who's assigned to those tasks, percent complete, etc. Again, it's that same plan. Support customer using mobile, being delivered via Project Professional, and all of those different phases and the activities that are being delivered as part of that project accessible via OnePlan. Now, one further item, in that back end in the OnePlan interface, in the background, it's read-only. I don't edit this within this browser. However, as resources such as Sophia or Daniel or other resources assigned to this plan complete their tasks and submit via our My Work interface or a timesheet, the status of those tasks and the activities that they've been completing, we're able to import and incorporate and update our project plan directly as a project manager. So you have a full circle of project delivery here. Complete the plan, assign resources to tasks, publish it to OnePlan, and as those resources submit updates, we can incorporate those directly into the plan. Now I'll show you this in some other plans as well, but remember, we're talking about managing a portfolio of activities, a collection of different work plans, be them adaptive, be them waterfall or agile. So here we're seeing the details of this support customer using mobile project. You can't really easily capture this information within Project Desktop, and we want to be able to capture these attributes about these plans across multiple different work types. So here we have a Project Pro project, but in a few moments I'll show you how we can gather these same type of details about plans being delivered with other scheduling tools so that we can consolidate reports and see, as an example, all of the projects associated with this program, or all of the projects that are sponsored by Daniel, or have a specific goal outlined in our corporate strategy gearing towards customer satisfaction. A couple of small things. We've done many webinars on resource estimating and resource planning. It's important, whether you do this with waterfall projects or agile projects, you still need to know, do we have enough resources to deliver on this work? So even before you start thinking about the methodology for delivery, maybe you want to block some of these resources, assign them to this plan, go through a negotiation and proposal phase where you're requesting specific resources and getting approval for that. Same thing with finances. Again, we've delivered lots of webinars articulating and describing how we can do resource and financial planning, but right within this interface, we have a mechanism and a place through which you can capture those resource, financial, and detail attributes and information about those plans to enable proper portfolio management. So let's keep moving. That was Project Desktop, and that was one of those integrations that we have directly, natively with our OnePlan solution. If you want to manage your projects using Microsoft Project Professional, you can do so within this framework. But let's say we wanted to maybe go agile a little bit deeper, and further down this list, we see a plan that we've identified as Azure DevOps. Well, That's named that way just simply so that as we're doing demos, we can find that very easily. But this particular plan, again, it's being managed using a tool such as Azure DevOps. So one-click access, I touch that button, I can open this directly in Azure DevOps, assuming I have security rights to do so, and assuming I can get through to that actual plan, I'd be able to open it in Azure DevOps. But what if I don't work on that team? What if I just want to see some of the summary information that we've chosen to bring over into our OnePlan environment so that we can visualize what's happening in Azure DevOps? So here, the work type I'm showing is our backlog attributes, where we have a couple of features: customer service with a phone application. Maybe we need to check the service status and there's some tasks identified in here. We selected specific attributes about these objects, item type, status, start and due dates, things like that, for this configuration of this environment to include within this OnePlan demo. If I go back over to my Azure DevOps environment, here it is. I have an epic I'm delivering on called Azure DevOps, being managed by Daniel Williams. Down here in the lower right, we see some of the children of this, those two stories: customer service for web and customer service for phone. And if, again, I had access to Azure DevOps, I'd be able to navigate through and see the related work, such as that GPS locator interface or check service status, and then subsequently drill right through down to those tasks. But for people who are interested in what's going on in that plan, who don't have access to Azure DevOps or don't know how to navigate it, or maybe you don't have a subscription for them, they have the ability to see that information directly here within the OnePlan interface. Again, mixing and matching methodologies and even tools between different environments. Another example is JIRA. Once again, I can click on that icon and open this up, have it open already for the webinar. If I navigate through to the work plan for this, we go look at this view here, we'll see that this work plan that I'm exposing has a couple of stories and a task in here that are happening in the JIRA environment. Here we are in JIRA, shopping cart, mobile app development, etc. You get to select the attributes, and we have specific integrations that enable specific types of data flow on a scheduled, logged process, moving back and forth between these other systems such as JIRA, Azure DevOps, or other tool sets to mix with our OnePlan environment. Now, what about another tool that we've all heard about? What about Project for the Web? So this new scheduling tool from Microsoft, if I navigate through to this one, I can go look at my list view within our OnePlan environment. We see here that we are developing the email campaign, validating email messaging, etc. Here's that same plan in Project for the Web, same phases, tasks, etc. You can continue working if you choose to embrace this new tool, work with Project for the Web, see grid views, board views, timeline views, etc. But we are, again, consolidating that data in our tool set, giving you that choice. So we see that portfolio of work, no matter what the scheduling tool, no matter what the methodology is, available through OnePlan. And then finally, let's look at this one. It's labeled a work plan. And what this particular project is all about is about showing you how to use our scheduling interface, the tool set that we've built into OnePlan for delivery of work in a truly hybrid, adaptive type of fashion. So once again, we're gathering project information. We need to know who the manager is, who the sponsor is, what the particular goals of this particular project are, a business case, a project schedule, etc. Maybe you're doing project prioritization, in this case using business drivers to measure the priority of this project and determining a prioritization score. All of that said, once again, we can collect financial information, resource information, but let's go look at what the work planning interface looks like using our OnePlan scheduler. So here we have a complete project plan, work breakdown structure, phases of work, tasks beneath them, all organized in very much a waterfall fashion. In progress, completed, status type indicators, start and due dates, durations, etc. It's a rich scheduling interface, complete with Gantt charting capability to show you the status of this project, what's going on within this plan, including milestones and progress, etc., all available as part of our web-based OnePlan scheduling toolset. But this is about mixing modes. This isn't about waterfall necessarily. What if we want to schedule this particular project in a different mode? What if we want this sort of interface? So I switch from a traditional waterfall Gantt chart view to a more board-based or Kanban type of approach. So just like you'd expect, we can name these buckets or these columns, in this case, which are status, as you best see fit. You can drag and drop to change something from not started to in progress. Coloring on these tasks to show a variety of different types of indicators, assignment of resources to these different tasks. It's fairly straightforward and fairly obvious to manage this project in a different fashion. So instead of that schedule list view that I showed you a moment ago, those board views are available to facilitate a different mode, a more modern way of updating the status on tasks and of delivery and management of a project. Here within this work plan, I'll dig a little deeper, and as we look at this determine project scope task, we're going to see a little icon here indicating to me and to you now as I click this and open this up that this task has activities associated with it. So determining project scope was important enough that it merited placement in the project plan. It has a work breakdown structure number 1.1, but there's these activities associated with that that are still important for us to be able to deliver on that task, but don't really need a place in the plan. I need to get some templates ready. I need to set up a meeting. All of this needs to be done to be successful with that one project task, and we can track those as activities in a fashion similar to what you can do with Planner. So that's activities on that task that fit right into this list of work we're doing. Let me dig a little deeper. As I hit this work plan, work type dropdown, I'll just zoom in on that for a moment. We're looking at the schedule. I'll come to the backlog in a moment, but we've also incorporated other work types in this demo through a simple configuration. So just like you might track risks and issues in a list, maybe in a SharePoint list or in an Excel spreadsheet, we can track them here directly within the OnePlan application. So we can integrate with SharePoint and we can integrate with Teams so that you can maintain that information in those other environments if that's where you're more comfortable doing so. But if I switch to my issues list directly within the OnePlan integrated environment, you'll see here we have a couple of items that have been identified as issues. Scope creep, key developers out on medical, and just like you might do with other Agile tools or other list management tools, you just simply configure the columns, the information that you need to capture about these, such as the impact, who the resources assigned are, the due date, etc., and make that available in this issue list. But let's show you what we've done with tracking those issues or key decisions or changes relative to the actual project. So here we have this schedule underway. We've gotten down to the design phase. We're tracking some tasks. And right here, mixed in my list of work that we're working on, those tasks, we have an issue. It's a work type of issue. It can appear directly in that work breakdown structure. This makes a lot of sense. Key decisions, changes, issues or risks that you want to highlight. Let's lay them right into the plan so that we can assign them to someone to track. It's not actually a task that we originally planned for or scheduled, but it's just something that has come up, an issue or a risk we're trying to avert, or maybe perhaps a key decision or a change that we're going to post into this plan. So I skipped over this other work type that I talked about for a brief moment, backlog. Well, what's that? Well, this is where we can get truly agile. So here we have a schedule. And if I switch to this backlog environment, you're going to see the plan's going to change a little bit. This is what we'll call a mixed mode schedule. Sure, a traditional schedule with a Gantt chart and a work breakdown structure, but here we have some backlog activities that we're tracking. We have a feature we're building if we're doing software development. We have a user story we're telling, and we have different tasks that are part of that and make that up, make up that user story and part of that feature. So within this backlog, we can manage a subset of activities, if you would. This part of this project could be integrated with another tool such as JIRA or Azure DevOps, but we can manage it directly within this environment. So if I expand all of these backlog activities, you'll see we have a full set of activities built out so that we can develop those features and tell those user stories. And we can also manage by using what we call sprints or iterations within this plan. So if I'm currently working on sprint 4 and I highlight and click on that sprint 4 icon in the top left, that automatically filters my list of activities to the items that are to be delivered during the sprint 4 period. In this case, we have defined the number of points or the number of hours that are to be allocated to the sprint, and we're a little over on hours. As we consolidate the hours from these tasks, we have what looks like to about 320. So we've exceeded the hour allocation of 200 hours for this sprint. If I click on sprint 5, things update themselves. We see the new list of activities that are planned for the 8th of August through to the 21st of August. And again, it looks like we're a little over on points. You can hover over that and it tells me we're at 35 out of 30 story points for those tasks. So appreciate that we have a variety of different ways of scheduling within our OnePlan tool set, mixing in both waterfall or agile projects, mixing in tools, be it Azure DevOps, JIRA, Project Desktop, etc. And then with our OnePlan scheduler, that application itself built into OnePlan and available to you with a OnePlan subscription, you can mix in your methodologies directly into a single work plan or a single set of objectives. You've got great flexibility in this tool, and you're not forcing change upon your entire organization should you adopt OnePlan for your teams. So that's all I had for today. Jim, if you'd like to wrap up the webinar, I'd hand things back over to you.
Thanks, Doug. That was a great walkthrough of the capabilities. So let's summarize a little bit and talk about some potential next steps you can take. Let's talk about what you saw here and summarize some of the value of this hybrid or adaptive PPM that you saw here today. Some of the things that you get to do is keep users working in their primary tools and solutions and the things that are best suited for the types of work that they're doing. It also allows users to work in tools appropriate for their role, maturity, or the type of work that they have. So, you might have more advanced tools for maybe more advanced needs and lighter tools for other things. And it accommodates a variety of methodologies and tools such that we can accommodate within reason things that can be brought together in a common form like Doug was demonstrating to us. It also improves adoption by minimizing unnecessary complexity and duplication of effort. As we talked about, some of the disconnects between traditional and agile teams is that duplication of effort that's often required to feed the needs of the organization while you're heads down doing agile things within your team. So let's minimize or eliminate that duplication of effort. And an overall better user experience, giving them the tools they want and not having duplication of effort, et cetera, and more effective efficiency drives better participation and compliance. It means you get better data if you have better compliance and information. And we can integrate all work and resources into a single view or a single pane of glass. And so the teams can continue to be agile or waterfall if they want to be, but leadership still will get the visibility and the metrics that they require to run the business or that they prefer to run the business. It just gives better collaboration across all areas of the business when we do these things. Now, we do these webinars on a regular basis, and we have some coming up the next couple of weeks. Taking this to another dimension is this whole homogeneous or hybrid, uniting Agile and traditional project management in one environment. So where today's focus was on really about leadership and Agile teams, going a little deeper on this whole concept of homogeneous or hybrid environments for these things. And then on August 19th, we have a nice topic on driving digital transformation through the Agile PMO. So if you want to sign up for these as you did for this, go to oneplan.ai/webinars, and these are available to you to register for. If you want to try out some of the things that Doug showed you here today, we do have a free trial available up on Microsoft's AppSource, the OnePlan for Adaptive Project Portfolio Management, and you can get access to a free trial that we can chaperone you through if you so desire. Now, if you are not quite, ready for that level of immersion, let's have a conversation and give you a free roadmap workshop of where you're at today. Look at where you might want to be for a desired future state and determine what it would take to implement or put some of these things in practice to your organization. And we can give you an idea of what that roadmap would look like and what that cost might be for you in order to make that happen. So please take us up on that. We're happy to do this for you at no charge. So for next steps, you can look at a trial, you can look at a roadmap workshop like we talked about, or Doug gave a very generalized demo today. If you have very specific needs or things you want to address, there's a personalized demo that we can schedule one-on-one with any of you in your organization to address the things that are of particular importance to you. Just reach out to us at contact@oneplan.ai, and we're happy to schedule that for you. So at OnePlan, we're really about you, and we're invested in success, meaning your success. You can reach us at the general contact us number, but I've also put both Doug and mine email addresses down below here. As Robert told you at the outset, you will be getting a copy of these slides as well as a link to the recording of this presentation for you to share or view out later on. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today. I know your time is valuable, and I'm glad you invested it with us. And we really do hope to engage with you. Have a great day.